What's going on, guys? It's been a minute. CrustyKs here from GoldBoys. Excited to talk about this college basketball slate. Start of feast week here. We got 4 games to go over. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. So the first one here, we have Butler taking on South Carolina. This game is on a neutral. This is one of the feast week tournaments. So for me here, it's a pretty interesting matchup because you get Butler and you get South Carolina, both really not having played anybody of mention. I mean, Butler finally did get like their first real test against SMU in their last game, which was a loss. But I like SMU defensively isn't a team that really, in my opinion, is going to test a lot of teams. So I'm not sure how much of a test it was for Butler, truthfully. So this feels like the first like true test because South Carolina, they can't shoot, but they do play defense pretty well, and kind of the same thing can be said for Butler, truthfully, to start this season. So looking at these two teams here, pretty similar defensively. They don't allow a lot of threes. Everything they allow pretty much is at the rim, in the paint, restricted area kind of. So it's going to be interesting because stylistically, both these teams offensively want to shoot threes, but they're not really going to be able to just based off these defenses. So this total is pretty high. I think it's like sitting at 160, I believe. So truthfully, on the neutral, and just like I said, with the way these two teams play defense, I lean the under here. It's a little scary because 152.5. I don't know where I got 160 from, but yeah, I lean the under here. It's probably my best look in this game is the under 152.5. I just think that, you know, being on neutral with the way these two teams play defense, they're going to struggle to score. So I think this one ends up being a little nasty, but I will take the under here, under 152.5. Jumping into our next one, Wisconsin taking on BYU. Another really interesting matchup here. Another one of these feast week tournaments. So for me, I was actually a little surprised to see BYU only at -5.5. I actually thought it'd be a bit bigger, but this Wisconsin team, I mean, in KenPom they're ranked 15th. I love John Blackwell. I think he's really good. I'm just not sure I'm willing to say this team is top 20 in the nation. I really have some concerns with how they can match up with BYU here. But one thing we do know about BYU, they played defense pretty well at the end of that UConn game. But overall, it's a team that's really going to be focused on offense. Defense probably going to be optional at times, truthfully. So for me here, looking at this game with the way that BYU allows threes, I like the over 162.5. I think there's going to be a lot of points here. I do think Wisconsin can score at the very least. Not sure they can hang in there with BYU. I just think BYU is way too deep. They just have, you look at their roster, and obviously we know they have the freshman phenom, but I mean, just around him, Rob Wright, absolute stud from Baylor, Richie Sanders. This team is loaded. So really tough draw here for Wisconsin, in my opinion. So I just want to back points. I do lean BYU on the spread. I thought it'd be bigger, so it's kind of keeping me off a bit. We'll kind of see where I end up there, but do like the over here, over 162.5. Jumping into our next one, let's go Louisville, Cincinnati. So Cincinnati is a team that I'm a big fan of. I've been a Bearcat fan for a while here. Not a big Wes Miller fan. I just don't think he has it. You've looked at this team offensively the last couple of years, just haven't been good. They've been a bit better this year, still not great. They did make some coaching changes around Wes Miller to try and get the offense a little better. It just hasn't been good. So unfortunately for them here, my concern is this Louisville team, obviously going to shoot a lot of threes, so there's a bit of variance with that. But this team, in my opinion, is a top 10, maybe even a top 5 team in the nation. And I think Cincinnati's really going to struggle here just to keep up. So I like Louisville on the spread here. I like Louisville laying the big number, laying 9.5. This game is, it says it's semi away. Let me see where we're at here. So it is actually, the game actually is being played in Cincinnati. So it's technically neutral. Like I said, my biggest concern here is I don't know how Cincinnati keeps up. Obviously if Louisville has an off shooting night, then Cincinnati could probably find a way to stay in it. But as we saw versus Kentucky, when this Louisville team's hitting shots, it's just, they're impossible to beat. And looking at Cincinnati offensively, they're a team who, they want to shoot the three. They don't shoot it particularly well. Like Day Thomas, not really a lethal three-point shooter. He actually started out this season pretty hot, but relatively low volume. Baba Miller, not a guy who's going to obviously, shoot three. It's really just Kier Krissa and Day Thomas. And I don't like relying on Day Thomas to be the volume three-point guy because it's not what he's been in his career, not what he's been when he's been in Cincinnati. So I think this is a tough draw for them. I think if this game, goes sideways, I think it has the potential to get pretty ugly here. I just think Louisville, head and shoulders, just way better than the Cincinnati team. And that 4-0 record for Cincinnati is a bit misleading. So, like Louisville here, laying the 9.5. I think that's a massive number, and it's massive for a reason. The last one we are going to talk about, let's do the West Virginia Clemson game. So, this is a pretty interesting game here. I'm a big Ross Hodge guy. I was a big Ross Hodge guy when he was at UNT. Obviously, he went to West Virginia, kept pretty much his whole roster, or who he could keep anyway. So it's basically the same team, same ideology, a lot of defense, very slow, shoot a lot of threes. And it's an interesting matchup for Clemson. This Clemson team, they looked decent. They lost to Georgetown. And other than that, I mean, they've played a lot of cupcakes. Looking at their schedule here, nobody higher than 250th per KenPom. So really, really tough to judge this Clemson team. They got Nick Davidson from Nevada, who I was pretty high on him at Nevada. Hasn't really looked that great, honestly, since coming over to Clemson. So maybe just a bit of some growing pains there. But looking at this roster, I'm concerned for them against West Virginia. They've done a really good job not turning the ball over, but they also haven't faced any teams who try to turn you over. So I'm a little intrigued there. But for me here, I think what I'll end up going with, I lean West Virginia on the spread. Think they can keep it close. But I think it's just a nasty, nasty under. You look at this West Virginia team, you look at what they did to Pittsburgh, I think last week, I think it was. Held them to 49 points. This defense is elite. The offense chooses to score or not score, flip a coin if that's going to happen. But regardless, it's going to be a slow game. There's going to be very few possessions. Clemson's another team that plays really slow in themselves. So I just think this game has potential to be really, really low scoring, like a race to 60 type game. And I think this thing goes well under this total here. So give me the under 134.5 for this West Virginia game. That is all I wanted to cover, though, for this slate. Like I said, 4 games. Looking at next week, though, we do have the main feast week schedule. So probably be some longer videos thrown in there. Probably be some back-to-back days thrown in there in terms of videos. I'm excited to get back to it, though. Excited to give you guys some plays, give you guys some winners. So if you do me a favor, drop in the comments which games you want me to talk about for next week, for Feast Week. Just make it a lot easier because honestly the schedule's pretty crazy. And we'll pick some games from there and we will talk about it. So as always, you guys know you can get all my plays at GoldBoys.com. And if you have a gambling problem, don't want to hurt a gambler. Thank you guys.